dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs. Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA, and it is a Friday, March the 31st of 2017. Would you believe that this is the last day of the so-called month that would actually say that a third of the year is already gone? So, hey, moving by quickly. So, definitely today is March the 31st, 2017. We have a live show for you. It's a Friday, and I just want to thank you all for being a part of the show and being here and can share this time with you all. Looking forward to it. And at any time, you can give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit **. We'll see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. And we will definitely, as I always say, that a dialogue is much more important than a monologue. So definitely at any time, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. So with that being said, everyone continue please to support Black Talk Radio Network by going to the website for Black Talk Radio Network, and that is www.blacktalkradionetwork.com, and actually giving some of your financial energy by donating to the network so that it can continue to do what it's been doing and do even more. And because of your financial contributions, that allows this network to completely grow. So want to thank you all for doing that. Give what you can, but so that this network can definitely continue to move forward. It's so necessary, and I think it's so relevant. So there, you could do it there. Also, Black Talk Radio Network, you can support it by being a part of the social media outlet known as BTR Community. And BTR Community was put together by this network, Black Talk Radio Network, in order to give you an opportunity to engage in your social media activities without being adversely affected, and to support the network. Very, very important, because this is very important that we continue to support the programs and each other in this whole thing, because that's where our collective prudence should be, and that's where our overall relief shall be. The only ones that are going to solve the problems that you have, the community has, and our overall families have are us itself. So important. This is one way in which we do it. So you can go to BTR Community, and that's www.btrcommunity.com, or you could get it also at the website for Black Talk Radio Network. You'll see the B that's there. Just click on it. It's for $24 a year. You'll be able to engage in all of the social media activities that you would otherwise engage with at other places without being adversely affected. And it supports the network, and it is where we become more intertwined in the tapestry of our future. So important that gets woven by you and I. So also, Black Talk Radio Network is definitely here for you to, and one of the great things about its BTR Community, if you want to highlight yourself, your business, or an event that's coming up, you can do that there at BTR Community. Very, very important. So definitely let's support this network so that it can continue to grow. Also, we have Also, if you would like to save as a king and a queen or save as a lady and a gentleman, you can do that by going to Prosperity Mint, because a king and queen is the wage of a king and queen gold, the wage of a lady and a gentleman is silver. The wage of a slave, where the slave is paid, is debt. And you don't have to save that way. You can go to, you can go to Prosperity Mint, PROSPERITYMINT.com, and engage in acquiring real money to protect yourself and your family. And this is going to be critically important as things start to really ramp up in the destabilization across the global destabilization. And I would tell you, you can't compete against everyone else for real money, and you need to get it when no one else is looking. So you could go to Prosperity Mint, check out what's in inventory. You can email wolf6pack1@gmail, or you could text me 951-790-8330. Make sure you leave a name and number so to help you out with the overall acquiring of the metals. And that is very, very important. So, one of the sayings at Prosperity Mint, one of the sayings that established at Prosperity Mint is that real wealth is measured by the assets you control, not by the cash you hold. And that's very, very important. And I just hope that doesn't become, and I know it will for many and for some, that lesson is going to be a hard one to swallow in the near future, when everyone will be looking back. I could have did this. I could have did that. I could have saved here at the appropriate time, but I didn't. You have to do it before it's too late. What I mean by too late, until where the overall price points get to where it will actually be difficult for you to acquire anything. So make sure you're saving as the way that you should be. You should be doing this apart. You should be paying yourself first and foremost before anyone else. You worked for it. You had to endure it. Your energy was expended. You need to pay yourself first, always, no matter who it is. You need to save your energy so that it can be used at an appropriate time at a later date. Okay? So go to Prosperity Mint. All right, so let's jump into, let me see, did I forget something? No, I don't think I did. Man, that's cool. Let's go into what's in the news. Jump into what's in the news. Give me a second. And one second here. We're going to jump into what's in the news. First article that we posted, I posted not too long ago, about 30 minutes ago or so. This one comes from Bloomberg. This is very important. Credit Suisse says office in 3 cities raided in tax matters. And what happened in this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the overall global wealth transfer is happening majorly now. It's really speeding up. So Credit Suisse offices were raided in 3 cities and for tax matters. Credit Suisse Group, AG, offices in London, Paris, and Amsterdam were visited Friday by local authorities in connection with clients' tax matter. Credit Suisse is cooperating with the authorities, the bank said in a statement Friday, without elaborating on the reasons for the visit. And what happened there? They took people's property. They took people's properties. Much love, much respect, Strategic Melanin. Good sister. All right, so this is going to continue to happen. Very, very important that you be able to control your overall destiny. And big ups to my man, Kevin. He sent me that earlier today while I was busy taking care of business. So check out that article. Next one. This one comes from Cerebrally Naive Network. You know it as CNN. Trump executive orders tackle trade abuse ahead of meeting with China's president. Man, this whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised shortly after or sometime after that meeting with the celebrity figurehead president of China that there is a outwardly military action in either in the Korean Peninsula or somewhere else in the world that is going to be major. That is going to be major. So check out this article. They want to label China as a currency manipulator. That's all right. What happens when you do that, then they will say that you are someone that is trying to eliminate or trying to avoid paying your overall debt. The 96-hour margin call, ladies and gentlemen, has already started. and it's going to really start to pick up here. So check out that article. Next one, Scotty posted this one about today's show, Thando radio show. Dethronement of the U.S. dollar is nigh. It is so true, and we're going to be taking a look at that. That last article from Cerebrally Naive Network is a part of it all as well. Next article, Roz posted this one from Teen Vogue. This bill wants to end new pennies. Check out that. Not only that, they're going to want to get rid of nickel. They want to take out, because when you're broke, you can't afford to put real base metals into your overall coins or your overall coin money. This is going to be crazy, and you need to be prepared for that. I'm still using that. Which one is that, Strategic Melon? I'm not quite sure what you were talking about. Type it there. All right, next one. This one comes from Roz. A major Japanese retailer threatens to leave the U.S. if Trump enforces Made in America policy. Is not going to, Cerebrally Naive Network, yes. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to have two conversations at one time. My bad. So this is going to be the overall response globally. And this is going to be probably some of the biggest. This is how you're going to get in the U.S. is already, there is who was it? The trade commissioner for the U.S. I forget his name. He's an old investment guy, one of the billionaires that celebrity figurehead Trump brought in, said that the U.S. is actively in a trade war and has been in the trade war for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a trade war, that means that the next step is a shooting war. If you've been in a trade war for a while, that means that you're going into a shooting war very soon. And we see that already starting to display itself. So check this out, and this is something that is going to continue to perpetuate. And this is this is going to be everywhere, and countries are going to protect themselves from the U.S. Next article. I posted this one earlier today as well, and Roz posted it as well too. North Korea has got to be stopped, the defense secretary said. After years of North Korea thumbing his nose at the international community on Friday, the Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, appeared to signal enough was enough. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This whole thing is about to continue to explode. Check out that article. Next article, this is Patriot Caller. Raj put this one. 7 highly effective self-defense weapons that don't go bang. So check out that. Good article there. Next one. Article from Inc.com, how meditation rewires your brain for less anxiety and faster learning. Check out that article. Next article is how to watch an April Fool's Day comment. No, really, Rod. Good one. Check out that article. This is from the New York Post. Laziness is contagious, scientist says. And you know what? It's incredible. This overall system has never worked a day in his life, and it's got nerve to call anything or anyone lazy. Man, so we're going to move on. Good article, Rise. Next article, Rise posted from Healthline. Health effects from light exposure can be passed on to children. Check out that article. And next one comes from Esquire. It's incredibly easy to figure out someone else's social security number. Yeah, it's very true. Very, very easy. Next article comes from Popular Science. Report Iran built a guided missile in a drone body for rebels in Yemen. Check out that one. Next one from International Business Times UK. Gold stays above 1250, 1,250 on dollar resurgence as oil prices uptick and run out of steam. Next article from Fortune, Rise put, McDonald Canada says job applicants' information was hacked. Everybody's stuff has been hacked, ladies and gentlemen. So this stuff is really, really going to, man, it's all coming the way that we've been speaking about for a while. Big ups to all of you that are keeping eyes on this. Very, very, very important. Next article from The Guardian. Kuwait woman detained for filming maid suicide attempt without helping. Folks, crazy. Next article from Chicago Times. Trump's approved $25 million Trump University settlement. And next article comes from the South China Morning Post. I posted this one earlier this morning. China has carved out economic impossible trinity. Paper argues. Check out that article. We're going to check out some of this. And next one, and this is no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, from the South Sea of China. Archaeologists believe they found ancient Silk Road capital. No, this is not by coincidence. It's the One Belt, One Road initiative and the new Silk Road initiative. Man, this whole thing is coming together. Next article from the South Sea of China, and they're saying for their president to avoid beer, handshakes, and how Xi should handle Donald Trump's meeting next week. Very, very important. Then the next, I put a YouTube video, and we're going to play some of it. And I said my commentary on this was plain and simple. Those who get this will do fine. And I put the word fine there for a reason, because that's how fine is written, as either silver, as silver, fine silver. That's how it's written. And those who don't, won't. Check out this YouTube video is of the former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan in 2005 at a Senate hearing. And we're going to definitely take a look at it, because this is something that everyone has to grasp. And this is something that you should be using to break your addiction to cash, because it's just like a pusher. They're telling you this dope is going to kill you. And until you wean yourself of it, and they'll tell you it'll kill you, until you wean yourself of it, your overall demise will continue to happen. And we're going to take a look at this today. So I said plain and simple, those who get this will do fine. You'll do okay for those that will get this. And those that don't, they just won't. That's just the whole way things is working. Next article from Sovereign Man. Choices, the world's first pension crisis. Next article, this one comes from Business Insider. U.S. Senate just dealt Russia a big blow in the Balkans. And ladies and gentlemen, this is another milestone reached for World War III that's going to turn into global nuclear war I. And I'm waiting to hear something that may be breaking news relatively soon. And if it is, that's the case, and I can find out some information. Let me tell you something. I may even have to end this show because of things that I would need to be doing. And it's just that important. I'm going to wait to see if that is the case. I don't want to put it out. Hopefully we will have more time, but I know the time is really starting to wind down. They're starting to give all of the indications that they are going to have a strike and a military strike, and these things are really perpetuating themselves. I would not be surprised after the meeting next week. All bets are off as far as we are in the live zone of it going into a hot war relatively soon, and you need to be as prepared as you possibly can be. Does that mean that you need to be spazzing out and scared and all these other things? No. But what it does mean is that you need to be paying attention and have the appropriate response to how you resonate with it. Have appropriate response to how you discern it, okay? Because I never, ever, ever want to not give you some information that later on I would say I should have said this, I should have said that. Well, I'm just checking a couple of stories. If the story is true, and if that is the case, ladies and gentlemen, we may have just moved into a very, very, which I know that we would be entering, but we would have now entered in another stage of the overall global divestment in the United States and into moving into World War III that's going to initiate global nuclear war one, even though it won't be the first time that this planet has seen some malevolent individuals or entities engage in nuclear technology from a standpoint of weaponizing it for war. So, and I'm not talking about with Japan. I'm talking about historically, way back, way back, okay? So nothing is new under the sun. So just, and so I'm going to be checking that. I don't want to really talk about it because it's not confirmed, and it's very serious if it is confirmed. So we'll wait to see. Even with information is very, very important, and you have to try to vet information as much as you possibly can. I didn't have opportunity to vet this information, so I'm just going to hold on to it. But if it is, believe me, I will bring it to you, and we'll bring it to you relatively quickly. We'll give it to you, and I will end Thando Radio Show for the day because of the importance that it has for me and my family, and and I would suggest that you all start to do things in accordance. It's just that important. It's not anything that's going to be an immediate thing, but I know Fridays are the choice days to destabilize things so that people won't be able to respond appropriately. And there are some things that I'm going to be doing, if this is the case, because and if it's not, which I hope it is, then we'll move on and prepare for when it does happen. It's just like you have different precautionary measures just in case something happens, and hopefully that this is not going to be it, but if it is, I will respond. I'd rather respond early than late, and that is just something that I've always found to be more proactive and gives you more options and actually gives you more leverage. So I'm going to put myself and my family in a better position of leverage if that's the case, and I will let you know before I do that. And believe me, if that's the case, then we'll talk about it. We'll put it out, but I will actually even end the show possibly early, depending on how in depth it is. So things are really starting to come apart, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So with that being said, if you'd like to get in on the conversation, definitely give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Nothing to be alarmed about, but be consciously aware of everything. And so this would change some of my overall directions if these actual reports of some things are true. So I'm just waiting to see if they're true. So if you'd like to get in on the conversation, like I was saying, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit **. We'll see you. We'll see you on in queue, and we'll bring you up. And we'll be looking forward to speaking with you. So let's jump into today's show. All right, so today's show, where are we at? All right, let me get myself settled here. Good to go. All right, so today's show. Today's show is the dethronement of the U.S. dollar is nigh. And it is basically already here, and it's going to continue to position itself to where you're going to start to lose over the leverage that you have known as a part of your everyday way of life here in the so-called corporate bounds of human resources known as the United States, and all of its citizens who are nothing more than employees or human resources for the corporation of the United States. And that overall standard of living is going to be ending. How fast will it end? It really depends on a lot of things. But I try not to dictate all of the things that are going to happen because I'm not in control of those things. I'm not creating those things. I will have control of what I have control of, and I am thankful for that and just respond to it appropriately. But the overall dethronement of the U.S. dollar is here, ladies and gentlemen, and is really starting to pick up, and we're going to take a look at that. What I want to do, how much time we got? Plenty of time. what I want to do is I want to play a couple of videos for you really quickly. They're very, very short. There's one is 1 minute and 19 seconds. One is 1 minute and 36 seconds. And the last one is about almost 8 minutes long. Very, very important. And I posted one of them inside of Thando radio show and BTR for you to check out. And I want you to listen closely. See, sometimes we focus on things that we shouldn't be focusing on. The NCAA tournament, baseball starting tomorrow, and all these other things, the soap operas on television and the this and that, all that stuff is distractors. And the thing about being set in a trap, the thing about laying traps for people is that you have to have some cheese. Every rat trap needs to have bait. Every trap for people has to have bait. And they've been baiting people for a very long time to be comfortable so that they will not move outside of the confines and the strength of the jaws of the trap. And I'm playing this because for those of you that hear, and for those that have ears, let them hear. For those that have eyes, let them see. For those that think, let them use their brain. And I was speaking to someone today, and you always hear this, and I was saying to someone today, very dear, and I said, always be careful. You'll hear this, and I almost gave it away, but I said, you'll hear this all the time. Remember this, that they may say that there's no such thing as a dumb question. That is very true. But stupid people do speak. There may be no such thing as a dumb question, but stupid people do think. Stupid people do speak. And we've been for so long, and I care about everyone. I don't care just about one. I care about everyone. I care about everyone for a reason. Because of what the great creator, the love that the great creator has, and the abilities and the talents that the great creator has given me and given you. Way. And then however someone chooses to use their free will is their choice. Just because you love something doesn't mean you have to like it. Doesn't mean that you agree with it. Doesn't mean that you won't protect yourself from it. But it has brought me great peace to where fear never moves me anymore because I'm not urged on by anger. So it's easy for me to care. I would hope that people would choose to live lives differently, collectively, so that we can all move in a more cohesive, sustainable way. And we would not be squandering our talents. But I realize that right now that is not the choice right now. But that doesn't mean that it won't be the choice soon, tomorrow, or at any other point. But it is so ingrained in me that it is the way that I choose to live now. And that doesn't mean that we cower to anything. Because when you fear nothing, you recognize something, that there is nothing that you ever need to cower or bow down to. So I would say that now is the time for us to really start to pay it, and it's always been this way, but it's essential that we realize how important that we really are, how gifted we are, how much ability that we have. We can create any and everything. We could create new dimensions, universes, everything. Or we could create a system of demise. It seems as if we've been very good at that because that has been the overall choice of the masses. But let that change with you, because that's the only place that you could do it. It's the only thing that you really could do is change from within you and then outwardly display that in a sincere manner and method. And because of that, I want you to hear and heed some warnings so that you can put yourself, your family, and our community in a better position and to have leverage instead of leverage working against us. And I'm going to play this now, and I want you to really pay attention to what's being said and how this conversation is going. The system is telling you what they're going to do to you. The system is telling you what they gave you was garbage, was trash, was not valuable at all. But we've been holding on to it like it is the tree of life itself. And that is an illusion. So I want to jump into this, and then we'll jump back into today's show. So let's jump into it. I'm going to jump into this one first. Okay, here we go. 1 second. And then while we're doing that, let me just pull this up real quick. I should have had it already ready to go. I'm sorry, everyone. And because I didn't do that, 1 second. Okay, here we go. Make sure we're going to have good volume. Yep. Okay, here we go. Oh, hold on. What in the world? Okay, here we go. 1 second. Sorry.
We should maintain the fundamental principles of Social Security as it did need from.
I think we should maintain the principles of Social Security, but I think the existing structure is not working. And that,
let me start this over because it's hard to
construct a system which creates the savings that are required to build
the fundamental.
Of Social Security, but I think the existing.
Do you still believe that we should maintain the fundamental principles of Social Security as it did need from?
I think we should maintain the principles of Social Security, but I think the existing structure is not working. And that until we can construct a system which creates the savings that are required to build the real assets so that the retirees have real goods and services, we don't have a system that's working. We have one that basically moves cash around, and we can guarantee cash benefits as far out and at whatever size you like, but we cannot guarantee their purchasing power. And this is why the issue ultimately has got to be resolved in terms of, do we have the material goods and services that people will need to be or need to consume, not whether or not we pass some hurdle with respect to how legal financing occurs, because the financing is a secondary issue, and it's the means to create the real wealth, not an end in itself.
And that goes back, I think.
Okay, that was Alan Greenspan back in 2005 when he was the Fed chairman and at a House Senate meeting. And if you heard what he said, and I'm going to give you, in my opinion, what he was saying. He was saying this, ladies and gentlemen, your pensions and everything that you've been saving for and everything that this system has promised you is false. and you are not going to receive any form of benefits, and you're not going to be able to. And it's not just Social Security. It's everything from the stock market to the pension funds to the savings to your cash itself, to the drug and the adrenaline of destruction itself, cash. And as he said, they could promise cash benefits as long as you would like, but they won't be able to guarantee the purchasing power. That means that the dollar itself won't be able to buy anything. And this is why I said they're telling you these things back then, and we should have been preparing, but we didn't prepare as much as we should have in our communities. And now is our time to do it, because this Fed chair said more than anyone else in regards to some level of truth of what's going on. And he said, you're not going to make it. And it's economically impossible for you to make it if you're not structured correctly. You hear when he said, it's not about milestones and hurdles, it's about structure. And ladies and gentlemen, most of us are not structured correctly. And because of that, at the appropriate time, which I don't know, I have not been creating, but I'm just reading the tea leaves, as my man Warren Ballantyne says, and I'm looking at some of the things that's going on, and it tells me that we are much closer to those events popping off than we were yesterday. We're closer to it today than we were yesterday. So now what I want to do is I want to play another one so that you can hear it, because it's vitally important that you get these things. This is from another way. I think this is the exact same. Okay, here we go. Play this other one so that you can hear this as well. Very, very important. Then I'm going to play the last one. Then we're going to jump into some things in today's show.
Personal retirement accounts is another way of making a future retiree benefits more secure for their retirement. And also, do you believe that personal retirement accounts as a component to a system of solvency does help improve solvency? Because when you have a personal retirement account.
All right, let me set the stage for this. This is this was back in 2000 and I want to say maybe 2000. This was 2005 as well. This is Paul Ryan, who's now the Speaker of the House. This is the celebrity figurehead Speaker of the House, questioning Greenspan again. So I want you to hear it from a different way. Here we go. Let me make sure we got good volume. Okay, here we go.
So having personal retirement accounts is another way of making a future retiree benefits more secure for their retirement. And also, do you believe that personal retirement accounts as a component to a system of solvency does help improve solvency? Because when you have a personal retirement account policy, it's accompanied with a benefit offset. With that feature in place, do you believe that personal retirement accounts can help us achieve solvency for the system and make those future retiree benefits more secure?
Well, I wouldn't say that the pay-as-you-go benefits are insecure in the sense that there's nothing to prevent the federal government from creating as much money as it wants and paying it to somebody. The question is, how do you set up a system which assures that the real assets are created which those benefits are employed to purchase? So it's not a question of security. It's a question of the structure of a financial system which assures that the real resources are created for retirement, as distinct from the cash. The cash itself is nice to have, but it's got to be in the context of the real resources being created at the time those benefits are paid, so that you can purchase real resources with the benefits, which of course are cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now that was about the retirement program. What was Alan Greenspan saying? It doesn't matter because the retirement, paying into a retirement does not guarantee you any form of, you heard what he said? Assets and resources. See, this is again telling you that the system, and he said again, the Federal Reserve could create as much cash, it's nice to have, then he stopped because he didn't want to give everything so blatant to everyone. They tell you, but they may not already come out and give it to you to the overall extent of their overall schooling. And their schooling has, as Brother Bragg has said, has retarded our overall development. And he stopped when he said the cash is nice to have, but the cash, he stopped. He was about to say the cash is worthless, is really worthless. The things that matter, ladies and gentlemen, are assets and resources. He's giving you a heads up as to where the global economy was going back in 2005. It's moving from a debt-based economy to an asset-based economy, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the overall for prosperity Mint, the motto is, wealth is measured by the resources you control, not by the cash you hold. And you know and I know that hasn't been on videos. That hasn't been in music. That hasn't been on TV. That hasn't been in our schools. That hasn't been in the educational program. What's been is the schooling program of the schools, the destructive schools of war. And they taught the people how to be the perfect victim. Just like whenever someone has some form of act of violence against different people on a mass scale or a mass shooting, they tell the people just to lay down and play like they dead. How foolish are we to even accept such advice from these individuals, these entities, this mass media? And we accept that type of wait for someone to come and help you. Wait and you would obey. They tell you what to do and they signal you by way of their MK Ultra program because they've already hypnotized everyone. So wait to be told what to do. Wait for the authorities. Wait for the masters. And we have to break that. We have to break that spell. So, once again, he said the importance of it all is that, and this is the person that's in charge of the private banks or the celebrity figurehead of the private banks that's creating digital currency and printing press paper cash. But why is he doing it? Because he knows where they come from. It's absolutely worthless. It's imaginary. It's a slave's wage. They get something of value from you, and they give you nothing in return. And we come back tomorrow. Very important that we realize where we really are. So what I want to do now is I'm going to set the tone for this one. The next one is going to be Ron Paul and Alan Greenspan. And this one is going to be about 7 minutes. So really listen to what's being said here. Really pay attention to what Ron Paul says and how Greenspan responds. Here we go. Let me set this up. This was done in... I think it was also done in 2012, I think this was. 2011. No, 2003. Sorry about that, y'all, going back and forth. Okay, so here we go. This is Ron Paul speaking to the Fed chair.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Chairman Greenspan, I, too, am not pleased with the Fed.
but my approach will be slightly different. While here in the Congress over the past several years, there's been several things that have been pointed out to me that we shouldn't bring up at committees. One is the Constitution, and the other, of course, before the Banking Committee is dollar policy. You explained earlier the dollar policy, the Secretary of Treasury speaks for the dollar, and I find that interesting and a bit ironic that you have the monopoly control over the money, creating new money and control over the interest rates, but you don't speak for the dollar, and that's deferred to the Treasurer. And we know that, but I think that's sort of academic anyway, because ultimately the number of dollars you create and the marketplace determines the value of the money. So no matter what you say or the Secretary of Treasury says, won't matter a whole lot. But dealing with the Constitution, I'd like to point out to my colleagues and others that the Constitution is explicit on the type of monetary system that we have, or are supposed to have. For the past 32 years, we've been operating with a fiat monetary system, and it hasn't done well. And history has shown that fiat money never does well, and it always ends badly. And we may be seeing the beginnings.
Sorry about that. I got the wrong one. Sorry. Hold on 1 second. That was a good one as well, but that wasn't the one I wanted to play. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
And if you wish to dispute that, then to be sure we do that. I think we have a very significant disagreement, as we always do.
Gentlemen, pivoting from one corner of the philosophical divide to another, I now recognize the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think. Welcome, Chairman Greenspan. I want to start by referring to a speech you gave in January at the American Numismatic Society, where you spoke profoundly about
gold and silver
policy, where you expressed that central bankers had this relative success over the past decade, and it raises hope that the fiat monetary system can be managed in a responsible way. So I think you're still at that point of hoping that this system will work. I maintain that the jury is still out on whether or not fiat money will work on the long term. And then you followed it up by saying, in case it didn't work, and I don't know whether you had tongue-in-cheek or not about this, but you said that we might have to go back to seashells and auctions as our medium of exchange. And then you reassured everybody that the open discount window would have an adequate supply of auctions. Mr. Chairman Oxley, if we get to this point, which I suspect we will someday, I ask you that we have hearings to debate the issue of what medium of exchange we have before the Fed starts using auction as a medium of exchange.
So you're referring to Chairman here?
I hope that you will at least consider that. But I think it is an important point, and I want to relate that to the Enron issue, because in many ways, I think the system that you have been asked to manage is similar to being asked to manage an Enron system, because Congress is notoriously in favor of deficit spending. We're currently expanding the national debt at $250 billion a year, and we have a nearly $6 trillion debt. So we create that debt by buying votes. We spend a lot of money. Now, the Federal Reserve comes in, and they buy that debt in order to maintain the interest rate that they think is the right interest rate. And they take that and use it as an asset. You put it in the bank, you call it debt that we created as an asset, and you use it as collateral for our Federal Reserve notes. So that's a pretty good scheme, and I think in the moral terms as well as the economic terms, it's very similar to what the Enron, how Enron operates. I'm not convinced the system works very well because a lot of people here praise you for the adequate amount of liquidity, and that's what inflation is: create more money, lower interest rates. Every time you ask for liquidity, every time you ask for lower interest rates, you're asking for inflation of the money supply. And I think what we fail to do is ever ask about the cost. Do we ever concern ourselves about the people who have had 2/3 of their income removed because they happen to be savers and living off interest? We gouge them with inflation, the loss of purchasing power, as well as taxing that, and yet a lot of people in this country have suffered from that particular system. Now, the analogy I would like to draw is something you said in your testimony on page 13, and you have mentioned several times now that Enron may be a good lesson, and I think it is. And I'm not for more of this regulation
by SEC. I think you're correct that derivatives provide a market tool that is worthwhile. You said the Enron decline is an effective illustration of the vulnerability of a firm whose market value largely rests on capitalized reputation with very little, if no, physical assets. That's exactly what our monetary system is all about. And that's why I believe the dollar is vulnerable. We in Congress do not have a responsibility to run Enron. Some other government has a responsibility to deal with fraud. We have a responsibility to the dollar. And I think that's what we fail so often to address around here. And you said that Enron provides encouragement that the force of market disciplines can be counted on over time to foster a much greater transparency. That's exactly what the market does with money. If you look at with the rapid and the sudden devaluations of the fiat currencies around the world, if you look at what happened to us in 79 and 80, that was the market coming in and forcing vulnerability and transparency on us. Now, gold gives you a hint as to what's happening. Gold has sent a mild message in this past year, in spite of the fact that central banks and others continually sell and loan out gold and push in the price of gold down. But there is a message there. So I would ask you, can you see any corollary whatsoever on what you're asked to do in running our monetary system to that which Enron was involved in?
I hope there are fundamental differences. I mean, there are. First, dealing with essentially a fiat currency, what it is that we are doing is that the currency is granted value by fiat of the sovereign, as it is said in textbooks. The issue there is that in years past, there's been considerable evidence that fiat currencies have been mismanaged in general, and that inflation has been too often the result. What I was mentioning in the speech that you were referring to is the fact that there is some evidence that we're learning that lesson, learning how to manage fiat currency. I've always had some considerable skepticism about whether that in the long run can succeed, but I must say to you the evidence of recent decades is that it has been succeeding. Whether that continues is a forecast which I can't really project on. The Enron situation is essentially one in which there was an endeavor to imply that earnings were much greater than they really were, that increasing debt was hidden. I can think of no reason to have done what they did with their off-balance sheet transactions other than to obscure the extent of the debt that they had. And what essentially was squandered in that process was the reputational capital which they had succeeded in achieving over a period of time. And I don't perceive that anything that we are doing as a central bank involves anything related to that. I hope that where we need to be transparent and indicate what we are doing, we do so. And we do so except in those areas where it, as I mentioned to you previously, inhibits the ability to actually function as a central bank. But as I say in summary, I hope your analogy is inappropriate.
The gentleman from California, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. But before we go to the commercial break, what I want to say is that one of the things that, what the system will do, and what some people within the system, what they'll try to do is they'll try to give you hints and clues. One of the things that Greenspan said, first thing that he said was he hoped that everything wasn't being run by like Enron, meaning he knows that it is. Then he says he doesn't think it is, but that's the double talk that they do. But that was the clues that they leave you. And in the beginning, Well, listen, we're getting ready to go to a commercial break, and I'll break this down, and then I'll jump into why this whole thing, the dethroning of the dollar is here. When we come back, we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. At any time, if you'd like to jump in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit star. I'll see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. You're listening to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Radio since 2008, providing new black media for the masses.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA, and we have a live show for you today. I want to thank you all for listening. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, then hit star, see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. Just before we left, we played a couple of videos, and I wanted you to hear Alan Greenspan tell you time and time again that the overall cash is worthless, and at some point and at some time, someone is going to be holding that hot potato when it explodes. So the last one that we heard was with Ron Paul, and one of the things that I think that Ron Paul was always used to is that Ron Paul was used to sound the alarm for those that are listening and to heed that, and wasn't really designed to actually usher in any real solutions to it all, because only the solutions can come from is from the people itself. So, and that's what he was doing, and that's what he has done a lot of. So, you know, and if you remember the last video, was a couple of things that I want to highlight to you all and to talk about with you all, and to show you why the U.S. dollar is, the dethroning of the U.S. dollar is near or nigh, is because in the beginning, Alan Greenspan went to a numismatics convention association. As the federal chairman, he went there and he gave a speech there. And he said that pretty soon the medium of exchange will be seashells and oxen. What was Greenspan saying? It's only a matter of time before the dollar is dethroned. It's only a matter of time until it will go to its true intrinsic value of zero. The medium of exchange means this, ladies and gentlemen. Every time you go to a store, you hand them your cash. They hand you whatever it is that you wanted to purchase. That is the medium of exchange. And he's saying that we're going to go to that because that is more valuable than what we have right now. Clamshells. They have more intrinsic value than your overall dollar. And everybody at that numismatics, everyone in that gold and silver business knew exactly what he was talking about. He didn't have to say it twice. And they doubled down even more into their overall business, realizing that here was the Fed saying that you all are on the right path. And you already know that. You don't need me to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. That's why I'm here. everyone else that has that strap, that belt tied around their arms to make their veins pop out, and they pick up that syringe, and that syringe is full of the drug known as cash. All those junkies will meet an overdose demise. That's really what he was saying. And Ron Paul realized that and made a joke about it. But what was Ron Paul really doing? He was sending a message out to everyone that has ears as to what is going to happen. It's just like, you can't get any greater for the person that is so-called a celebrity figurehead in charge of creating the debt or the drug itself, is saying that this is going to kill everyone that's here. And then Ron Paul joked, it was tongue-in-cheek, as he said to Greenspan, I hope that was tongue-in-cheek, knowing darn well that it wasn't. Because he couldn't joke at the organization that he was at. That's why Ron Paul said where he was saying that. And guess what? There are many people in there that didn't even catch it. And senators didn't even probably catch it. Or they did catch it, but they didn't want to be on the same playing field as that, because they want the overall dollar to remain in this overall direction while they get it and secure themselves and their families. So Ron Paul came out and said, I hope that was tongue-in-cheek. And if you've seen the video, you would see that Greenspan was laughing at Ron Paul, saying, yes, tell him what I really meant. And then he turned and he said, I hope before that happens that we will come to this committee and decide if a medium exchange in shells and in oxen would be the appropriate thing. Meaning, will that be enough? But they already know that the emergency and the crisis has already happened, that the dollar it wasn't that they put the dollar down, the dollar died itself. All forms of currency that man has ever created, every single one of them have gone to zero. The U.S. dollar will be no exception to that rule. And what Ron Paul was saying is that I don't think that you are very right, Greenspan, but I think you're selling short because it won't be enough for oxen in shells. We're going to have something that has more tangible, intrinsic value. That is something that every person here listening to this show, and every person you know, and every person in this country that's ever worked in their life needs to know, because there is a trap. And it's an intoxicating trap that will cause you to be chemically dependent upon this drug of destruction. Crack, heroin, cocaine has nothing on cream. Nothing at all on cream. And every person here, you know what cream is. Cash rules everything around me. And it is one of the most destructive drugs that we've ever been willing to partake in. So, very, very important. If you got any questions or comments, definitely don't hesitate. Give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit **. I'll see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. This is only going to continue to perpetuate, and it's being perpetuated throughout the world. There's a couple of articles that I want to bring to your attention as to showing this actually happening. And I made the mistake of closing up, and I shouldn't daggone it. So what I'm going to do, hopefully I don't lose my place here. What I want to do is there's a couple of articles that are telling you that this is happening. Very, very important. And particularly I want to look at two articles. Hopefully my computer will comply. And this has everything to do with the trade wars that are actively going on right now as we speak. And they've been admitted to, now they're only going to grow. This is going to become very real to people soon enough. But by the time it becomes real to them, it will not be enough time to adjust to it. It will be almost too darn late. And that is not going to be a pleasant thing to see or to watch people to endure. But it is a part of the direction of demise. So let me grab these two articles. One of the two articles I posted yesterday, how the EU said that they are going to, well, I don't want to let me pull it up. They want to actually, let me pull it up real quick. Oh, no. All right. So I went in the wrong direction. All right. So give me 1 second. Very important. The EU had laid the fundamental whispers and the fundamental direction for the U.S. to be completely divested of and the dollar to be demonetized. What? The dollar to be demonetized. Having problems finding it. Man, I had it and then switched up. Hold on, let me find this darn thing. Oh, boy. Okay, cool. Here it is. Found this from yesterday, and this came from Express News. EU could break up the United States in a jaw-dropping threat to Trump over Brexit. Need to pull this up. Why do we need to pull this up? Because it matters way too much. And I was saying that the overall sanctions and the untying of the states, is the untied states of America, is going to be front and center soon enough. And this article really resonates that way. Here it goes. EU could break up the United States. Juncker in a jaw-dropping threat to Trump over the support of Brexit. The European Union boss, Jean-Claude Juncker, is issuing a jaw-dropping threat to the United States, saying he could campaign to break up the country in revenge for Donald Trump's supportive comments about Brexit. Why? Because Brexit is also breaking up the EU. Do you see the overall direction of this? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this so you can hear this for yourself, and then we will definitely need to talk about this because this, ladies and gentlemen, is really picking up. Here we go. Oops. 1 second. And this got this article from, I posted this article yesterday, and it comes from express.co.uk. So here we go. Let me put this up, and I'm going to let you hear it for yourself. It's better when you hear it from them, from the so-called horse's mouth. So while that's loading up, here's the thing, and this comes from express.co.uk. Very, very important. We talked about this when no one else was talking about this. No one else had this on their radar. Why? Because we can see this coming because we understand their language as to what some of their agenda is. Not all of it, but they tell you what they're going to do way before they do it. And that gives you leverage because that gives you an appropriate response. Does everything, do we? No, we don't know everything. We don't see everything. But what we do know is this, is that we know our overall powers and our talents, and we don't condone squandering them in any form of self-serving or submissive agenda to another being. Never been love, it will never be love, will never be a position of power, will always be a position of evil weakness. So, trying to load this up, I may have to go back. And I think I'm going to, I closed my my fast-moving computer too early. So made a mistake there. That's what happens when you get preoccupied with a show. So, but all right, so what I'm going to do is that I'm trying to let this thing load up, and while it loads up, I'm just going to tell you some of the things that's what's being said. Now, when they say that, oh, here we go. One second, sorry.
A lot of people would like it that way. Even people on another continent, where the U.S. president was happy that the Brexit was taking place and has asked other countries to do the same.
All right, I'm gonna get this in a bed. This is not acceptable. Just sorry about that. It's bad. The internet here is really slow. So bear with me. I'm going to talk about it and then I'll play it. And as you can hear, the interpreter actually interpret what the EU commissioning president, celebrity figurehead EU commissioning president was saying. And so what's being said now, ladies and gentlemen, remember when we talked about the purge and how countries are going to start to line themselves to divest and to dismantle the United States. And that's part of what the United States itself, the overall corporation of the United States, it's like the NFL or the NBA. They are all in one big fraternity, and they have a commissioner, and they always do what's in the best interest of the league because that's where they get their overall control from. That's where they become relevant. That's where they become the controlling factors. So they don't fight against each other. They give that appearance only to those that they want to enslave. So what is Europe saying now? Okay, so the celebrity figurehead Donald Trump wants Brexit to happen. He's supporting other countries to do it. By doing that, that is a direct act of economic war, and it is an act of war in itself. So what we'll do in response is that maybe we'll start to move in a direction to dismantle the United States. Maybe we'll move and have a campaign that will cause the United States to be unraveled. Why would he say that? Because they could do it. Why would they do that? Because that is the agenda. Why was that the agenda? Because that is the objective to maintaining control. And they're definitely going to do it. They've been strategizing this and putting this together for a very long time. And it's gaining such momentum, and it is in a position to where now they have everything that they need to do it. Mostly that they have the people that are ready for it. That's the general population, the everyday people. They'll buy into this. They'll buy into this destructive measure, these destructive measures. Why? Because they've been thoroughly indoctrinated to accept this. And in accepting that, what will really happen is that the overall hand of enslavement will only get stronger. So what I want to do is I want you to hear this and hear it from the interpreter. Then we're going to go back to this so that you can see it. Then there's another article that we need to be checking out so that you can see this. The Trade Commissioner has already said that we are in a trade war. Said it on CNBC today. Heard it myself. Whenever someone tells you that you're already in a trade war, ladies and gentlemen, that means that you're in a shooting war. And believe me, the U.S. has no tactical advantage in this whole thing. We'll only lose. So what I'm going to do now is I got a better connection. I'm going to play this. And I want you to check this out and listen closely to what the interpreter is saying. So as it loads up, as soon as it does, I'll put you there. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Okay, hold on. Here. Sorry about this. I should have sent this to Scotty so he could have played it, but just couldn't do it. Okay, it's loading up here. So as soon as it goes, pay close attention. Here we go.
So Brexit isn't the end. A lot of people would like it that way. Even people on another continent, where the newly elected U.S. president was happy that the Brexit was taking place and has asked other countries to do the same. And if he goes on like that, I am going to promote the independence of Ohio and Austin, Texas, in the United States of America. It's business as usual in Europe. We must continue. We must forge ahead.
Did you hear what he said? He said, if that continues, I will push for the overall independence for Ohio and for Texas. Let me tell you what was the intention there. Had nothing to do with Ohio, had everything to do with Texas. Because they know where the overall weak points are, because the system itself has embedded the weak points. Let me read to you what was said. The EU boss, Jean-Claude Juncker, issued a jaw-dropping threat to the United States, saying he could campaign to break up the country in revenge for the celebrity figurehead Donald Trump's support comments about Brexit, because that is breaking up the EU. In an extraordinary speech, the EU Commissioner President said he will push for Ohio and Texas to split from the rest of America if the Republican president does not change his tone and become more supportive of the EU, knowing that that won't happen. That ship has already sailed. Goes on. The remarks are diplomatic dynamite at a time when the relations between Washington and Brussels are already strained over Europe's meager contributions to NATO and the U.S. leaders' open preference for dealing with national governments. Stop there real quick. That's war, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you think Germany is going to go? They're going to side. They're going to go into the BRIC nations. And why are they going to do that? Because they have the plausible deniability to do it. This has everything to do with the overall economic crisis that is going to have the everyday person's economy is going to crash, and they're going to move into a war scenario, while the real economy is never, ever affected, because the real economy is based not in debt, it's based in assets. So it went on. A spokesman for the bloc later said that the remarks were not meant to be taken literally, but a telling, do not try to pass them off as humorous. Instead, the EU chief was making a serious comparison. No, ladies and gentlemen, they're telling you what they're going to do because they already have that to where they're going to put that in place. Texas has already been thinking about, and it's actually at their last Republican convention, one of the first things that was on the overall discussion or on the agenda was secession. Other states in the union are already doing that as well. and they're talking about changing their overall monetary inclusion, and this is where you're going to get the sanctuary series. This is where you're going to get the trade wars to implode until where no one will be able to and want to be tied to the federal government, and they're going to want to go in their own direction. Do you know the size of Texas' economy? Do you know the size of California's economy? Do you know the size of different nations' economy? It's larger than different, just one state is larger than whole countries. I have the numbers, but I don't have it in front of me. I forgot to put that up. Why are they doing that? Because the same as on the sovereign, or on the national sovereign, the geopolitical I made a mistake there. On the national sovereign level, countries have started to establish consortiums of groups to come together based off of the assets that they control. There are going to be different states in the United States that are going to untie themselves and develop consortiums of nations from within. You thought, if you ever looked at when the Soviet Union so-called broke up in 91, which it really didn't, you think that was bad. This is going to be far worse, whereas this one is going to be real. Different states with assets are not going to want to align themselves with other states with no assets. Would you? When you've been told that things are about to go awry, imagine how many people that you have warned and told them that they needed to prepare, and they failed to do it, understandably so, because it was their choice. Now, they can't say that they didn't know. They chose to ignore reality, but they won't be able to ignore the consequences of ignoring their reality. And just like that, there are other states just as there are people, there are other states that will buy into that by choice and by design. Why? Because it will give even more leverage in the crisis. So the EU is already speaking of, and if they're speaking of that, what have they done? They've done the exact same things that Mexico has done. They've already cut the deal with China. They've already cut the deal with Russia. They've already cut the deal with Iran. They've already cut the deal with the ASEAN nations. They've already cut the deal with the rest of the BRIC nations. They've already cut the deal with all of the asset-heavy countries, saying that now it's time to dethrone the dollar. And in dethroning the dollar, ladies and gentlemen, that turns this country into not even a third world country. It's a sub-6 world country that it will be. Why? Because the overall leverage of what you're going to be facing debt-wise is like never before in the lying recorded history of the past. Never, ever, ever before. It's been over 600 years that the interest rates were as low as they are right now. And there's going to be a marked change, and it's going to happen so fast. The implosion is happening as we speak. You're going to see it in the auto. You're going to see it in the home market. You're going to see it in the job market. You're going to see it everywhere. When you do, for those of you that resonated and said that there's something wrong with this deceptive lie of me giving and paying into something today and they promise me something later on. When have they ever kept the promise? Why should I believe anything that they're saying now? What I should believe is the truth. They've been extremely truthful. They've been committed to lying and destroying. And one thing I do appreciate is that they stayed consistent. So we're getting ready to go to our last commercial break. If you'd like to jump in on the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, and hit ***. We'll see you in queue. And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the work that you're doing now to prepare yourself and your family and our community will not be in vain. It will be necessary. And we look forward to build with you. Listening to Thando Radio Show. Getting ready to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
The Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. You are tuned in to Black Talk Radio, the new black media for the new millennium.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, then hit ***. I'll see you in queue, and we'll bring you up. And we are talking about how close we are economically to the overall dollar losing its position of advantage, which it has been losing for quite some time. But I think the next steps downward are going to be much, much bigger, and they're going to have drastic effects in the overall purchasing power of what you've been paid in. They will continue to pay you in debt until you refuse to expend your energy for worthless nothings, and until we decide to become more sovereign in nature. So very, very important, and I think some of the monumental steps, we're going to start to see them soon enough here, and we're already seeing them, but we may not feel them as much as they are apparent. But that, in my opinion, is going to be a part of the trap as well, and that is definitely going to happen. So the overall dollar demise or dollar dethroning the U.S. dollar is happening as we speak. Never before have you heard countries say these things, because they were always afraid of what? Economic sanctions followed by bombs. They're neither afraid of sanctions nor U.S. bombs anymore. So what does that mean? That means that they are positioning themselves to do what? Take out the bully. And when they do that, they're not going to replace this with anything that is going to be more benevolent than what was destroyed. They will have something that appears to bring that, but that's not what they're going to do. The objective and the method are two different things. Two different things here. And they're going to replace one empire known as the beacon of freedom by destroying another one, so that the system is uninterrupted. So very important that we see these things, and that we protect ourselves, that we look at these things from a position of advantage, and look at these things as the warriors that we are, able to determine our self-directive able to be self-determining, and able to maintain our overall sovereignty by choice or by submission. We can be the good slaves, the indoctrinated slaves that we've been schooled to be. It's a powerful thing, the free will. So if you'd like to jump in on the conversation, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, and hit star. I know this is not popular subject. I know this is not mainstream good gossip. I know this is not, the fanatic side of life with sports and everything else. I know there's nothing in this is comfortable. I know it's stuff that we didn't get taught and we don't understand it. But yes, you do. You do understand it if you would just listen to your spirit. Uncover the spirit that has been casted into doubt. Free your spirit. So I'm not quite sure if we got a caller in queue. Scotty, is there something you wanted to add or something you wanted to say? Oh, you probably forgot. Just coming out the commercial break. Okay. All right. So I know it's not something that is mainstream. We've done enough popular stuff. We've done enough mainstream stuff. We've done all the things that have not amounted to anything. And until we walk away from those things, realizing their overall intrinsic value as being worthless, we will continue to spin our wheels and never go anywhere. How can we want to be self-determining and sovereign when it is what we really want is for someone to give us freedom? How can someone give you freedom when they didn't ever create your sovereignty and your self-determining nature, which is primary to that? Freedom is something that man has penned. And since man has penned it, man can erase it at any time. It is a deed of ownership. Let me see your papers. Let me see your papers to see if you are deeded as a free person. That's what your passport is. To give you pass going into another country. Its original design was for the wherever you go, for people to give you good hospitality. They perverted it. Show me your papers. So, it's another article. If you'd like to get in on a conversation, definitely you can give us a call, and we will definitely facilitate your questions or comments. Another article, very telling. This one was at CNBC, posted it yesterday. Trump is looking at new ways to go after countries that game their currency. And now all I can do is laugh at that. There is no one that games their currency more. See, they're setting themselves up for failure and for fall. That's why you have the celebrity figurehead president that you have right now. He is an expert at bankruptcy. That's what he's going to have to negotiate, the bankruptcy and the surrender of Corporation of the United States. But the fraternity and the fraternal order will stay in place. Article says the Trump administration is assessing the scopes of its power to penalize countries, which means they have no power to penalize countries. How are you going to penalize anybody in today's world when your economic sanctions don't work and your military is no longer relevant? You ain't the only one with nuclear technology. You ain't the only one with cellular weapons. You're not the only ones with this and with that. But in actuality, ladies and gentlemen, they all are one and the same. But even then, with all their nuclear technology and all of their weapons of war, they still can't defeat you. They've got to get you to surrender. So the article says, whose currency is believed to be undervalued according to two people with direct knowledge of the review. Who are they talking about? They're talking about China, ladies and gentlemen. In an effort to fulfill the president's campaign pledge to crack down on what he frequently called unfair trade. Unfair trade, ladies and gentlemen, is a politically correct way to say we are already at war. Celebrity figurehead Donald Trump promised to label China as a currency manipulator on day one of his presidency, but has not done so. That process is actually directed by the Treasury Department, which is not slated to release its official analysts of international currencies until later this spring. Even then, many analysts are skeptical that the administration would take the aggressive step towards slapping China with such a label. It's already happening by the other way. China is slapping the United States, and the rest of the world is slapping the United States with being currency manipulators by not paying and not being able to pay their debt and having their debt ratios too far and unobtainable and is unsustainable and is unpayable. No greater manipulation than that. We got a caller in queue. My man Roz is there. Roz, what's going on, brother?
Peace, King David. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm good, man.
Hey, I gotta tell you, man. My wife loves you, man. We've been talking about you for a minute now, but I just want to give you a shout out from her too, because she
much love, much respect to the queen of the house.
To give you props. Yeah, I wanted to say this is really interesting what you were playing, because this really goes to show you, how sick these people are. And I don't even like to call them people. I like to call them sub-animals, because it's an insult to animals to call them animals. But when you think about it, they're literally telling you, like, they're brazen. This is a similar mentality they had during overt slavery. It's like they're so used to getting away with just the most heinous acts that they'll tell you in all of this secret jargon what they're going to do before they do it. I mean, what criminal tells you, I'm going to break in your house and rob you before they rob you? Unless they really know they have that kind of power over you that they could do what they want and you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just really,
it's exactly it, Ross.
Yeah, they're diabolical. And the other part is, when you posted the piece on the head of the EU talking about destroying America, it made me think about something Brother Bragg says all the time, that the U.S. never won the Revolutionary War and that Britain still owns America. Because if you think about what they're saying, the EU is turning against Britain because Britain left, and they're taking a hefty portion of the value of their euro with them. So it's really a plan against Britain that's going to spread to its subsidiary, which is the United States. You see where I'm coming from? So
100%, and that's absolutely right. And let me tell you something. That is exactly what the play that's being stroked, and that's how they're going to publicize that so everybody buys into it. The mass confusion of it all is what? Confusion is what? The devil's playground. Go ahead, Roz. Well said.
Without question. And the other thing that really kills me about all of this is that the vast majority of the planet sees these people and these groups of these countries as separate entities. All of these people are German. The British people originate from Germany. French people originate from Germany. Scottish, Irish people, they originate from Germany. These are all the same people that basically stole land from black people in different parts of Europe and basically call themselves by different names, but genetically they're the same. They're an entire inbred race when you look at them, and that's why they function so diabolical. Inbreeding creates mental illness. And in my opinion, the mental illness that they propagate is white supremacy. And I've always said the white supremacy is a combination of three functional mental illnesses: narcissism, which we're seeing in how all of this is playing out; psychopathy and sociopathy. Those are the three. And you're seeing the psychopathic and sociopathic nature of all of these people. So really, when you're looking at it, this is one big family affair, like you always say, a giant fraternity, global fraternity. But when you're looking at Europe, they're literally brothers and sisters who've been basically mating with one another and have these inbred psychopaths running these countries. It's a lot to think about, but all of those signs that you put out today should really give people pause for thought as to how sick these people are. And if things get as bad as I think they're going to get, those same people who are on top now, I could see the public like doing to them like what they did to Gaddafi. I could see them parading Theresa May in the street with her head bashed in and just disrespecting her courts. I could see all of that taking place when everything hits the fan and people really, when it dawns on them what they have been a part of and what they've been subject to for a very long period of time. This is going to be really something to pay attention to, and it's just amazing. And I just got to say thanks again for all of the hard work you do. I know it's very tough on a weekly basis to do all of this research and the due diligence to come with such incredible information and to seek all of these different sources that are saying the same thing in different ways and to sift through the trash crap that they speak to get to the real golden nugget of the diabolical ideas of what these people do, the machinations behind closed doors, or like Bob Marley used to say, iniquity, they work in secret. It's real. It is so real. So, yes, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to lay back in the cut and, check out the rest of the show and see if anybody else. Hold
on, Roz, before you real quick. Man, well said as always, brother. And, it's funny, it's how we resonate is so crazy because you said the golden nuggets. I was actually, broke out some golden nuggets. Came into the store today, and it was funny. I said this is gonna play out somehow today, and then boom, you said it. Man, that's so crazy how that works. It's so crazy. But one of the things that you
on the same wavelength, brother.
Man, it's so. But check this out. Something that you said that was so true. And I always say this, and I've been saying this for a while, especially when we start to see what's up, Big Marv. When we start to see, we're going to see where people are going to go from civilized to feral overnight. And when you talked about parading Gaddafi's body and violating the overall body and everything else, why are they going to do that? Because the overall psychological programming of people has been institutionalized as to how they're supposed to act. They've been conditioning people and telling them, you're supposed to riot, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to march to Washington and back and don't get nothing. You're supposed to scream, yell, and shout and get nothing. And then you're supposed to riot when on cue, as we tell them to do. And then other people, you're supposed to kill these people and you're supposed to do this because that's what the system needs you to do. They are actually telling you this is the get out scenario. The key to getting out is don't sit your butt down in the chair.
Without
Raj, you're so right. You're so right. Now, wait. You're going to see them. One sec, Raj, because you're going to see them. Not only these celebrity figureheads, they put them out there so that at the appropriate time they can be used as leverage. This is why they make sure that they blackmail them and engage them in all of the devilish work that they do, from being pedophiles to doing this and doing that, so that they can expose them at any appropriate time. Oh, you're going to see some highly publicized people get paraded through, as Raj said, like Gaddafi. So true.
And you know what I was thinking about, too, is what you just said is really brilliant, because if you look at those responses you talked about, going to Washington, getting nothing, going in the streets, burning down your own neighborhood, you really look at it, they have infantilized. At first, everybody thought it was black people only that was being infantilized. But they've infantilized the global population, including the white people they also suppress. And that is why we react like infants. We throw tantrums. That's what you're discussing, is throwing a tantrum. Going to Washington is to complain, just like a baby in the crib cries for his parent to feed it if it's hungry or change it if it's used the bathroom. When you're talking about burning down your neighborhoods and all of that, that's throwing a tantrum, just like a kid who wrecks his room because he's mad about something that happened. We have been infantilized. And if we were of a more adult thinking process and sovereign approach, we will divest from the system, which is the appropriate response in order to shut it down. There's no need to burn your neighborhood. There's no need to grab the guns and get crazy. All you need to do is make the right decisions and stick with those decisions. And again, like Scotty says, a lot of people, especially our people, will have to give up a lot of buttered biscuits in order for things to really, really shift in a direction where these beasts aren't in control of our daily reality. It's so, so important, and what you said was so, so profound. And also I thought about the fact that even when you look at, like, what happened to Gaddafi and, you know, the other leaders that people have been, that they are taught the world to abuse or to kill, that's really the Coliseum all over again.
Exactly. That's the MMA fighting. That's why they have MMA fighting.
Yep. Everybody's going to be glued to their TV, watching all this stuff go down, while these creatures are going to be in the background planning the next move, so that after everything collapses, they're going to basically reset the same system on us because we have not taken the correct adult, non-infantilized approach to the psychopathy and sociopathy of these beasts. Thank you, my brother, and I'm going to mute myself and continue to hear this brilliant program.
Well said. You know, we think and we respond as soldiers and not as warriors, because a soldier can never do what a warrior thinks. A soldier obeys and takes order. A warrior maintains sovereignty and self-determination and sustainability. We've been thinking like soldiers. Patriotic ones at that. So, well said. Okay, everyone, if you'd like to get in on the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 866-510-9025. Roz blazed the spot as always, once again. And if you would like to jump in, I would love to hear from you before we get out of here. Give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. So, all right, so we don't have any other callers. We're going to get out of here. Nope. Okay, cool. We didn't have any other callers. The board moved around on me. So I want to just say thanks, Roz, for, as always, calling in. Great insight, great sharing. And I truly, truly appreciate, give my regards to the Queen. Much love, much respect. Brother Bragg, if you would be so kind to unmute yourself and chime us out for today, we're greatly appreciated. Give Brother Bragg a second to do that if he's able to. And I'm not quite okay. What up, Jambone? Much love, much respect. Oh, we got, go ahead, Jambone. We got 2 minutes. Go ahead, Jambone.
Okay, I was going to add in and say, you know, when all the smoke clears and everything, or even before the smoke, you know, arrives with the explosives and everything, I know that there's workshops preparation, but what about workshops for education? There's a lot of children planning on graduating this year, and there's some that's in the future. You know, from my opinion, it's like when everybody's like in their little small groups or whatever, have like small workshops, prove certain learning skills. So when time comes, even let's say if it happens next year or this year or 5 years down the road, you know, they can, you know, get out of here. What's that?
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. You good?
No, okay. No, excuse me, Jay. So I'm talking to this dog. Excuse me.
So in other words, like if your child graduates and so forth, and he can have some extra learning skills, and he goes to trade school. When he goes to trade school and so forth, he can be a little bit ahead what they're teaching him, so he can come up with different methods. You know, to bring back a better economic plan for the community. And you know, this is not something just for today. It's even when the smoke clears, because when the smoke clears, the whole playing field is going to be changed. Where that, you know, talking about economics globally, how are we going to be able to compete against the world if we're not creating anything? So, you know, that's my idea. You know, everybody that has like the small groups to kind of teach their children a little bit more on hands of special skills and so forth, not just preparations, but, to kind of enhance certain things. So when they go to trade school or college or whatever, and they can put this into a better perspective. So, like I say, when everything clears up, we're going to have another plan to compete globally and economically. And right now, in my own opinion, I don't think we have that.
And you know what, Jambo? I was actually earlier in mid last year. I spoke to Ramon and I spoke to Thomas about doing just that, establishing a vocational mentorship, and that's definitely on the agenda. And then I spoke with over the last weekend when we had the seminar. That's one of the things that we're going to be doing. So you're so right. We're resonating in the same place, Jambone, and you're a big part of that, because it is still preparing, because if you know a vocation, you have intrinsic value. So you're so true, so right. So listen, man, we got to get ready to get out of here, Brother Bragg. If you would chime us out and set our frequency, brother, I would greatly appreciate it. And I would say everyone is never goodbye. As always, we'll see you later. And before you ask for a fortune, make sure to give one away. Brother Bragg, if you would be so kind.
Peace. Peace.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all